Definitely one of the best fights in the New World arc of One Piece, okay? Those of you guys who've been up to date will know what I'm talking about. Sorry for saying that many times over in many videos of mine, but if anything else, I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new chapter of One Piece, which is on chapter 896. And this chapter right here was actually really good, and I really believe we're getting really close to finishing this arc right here. I think it might go on for about a couple more weeks, and then I'm pretty sure we are going to get into the new arc soon, which I really look forward to this year, etc. So if anything else, let's just get this recap started, okay? Okay, let's go. But before all that, we have to it that that there's this first page where we see the giant warrior pirate Captain Harujin is pretty much getting ready to look at Buggy or something, or I don't know what it is. But aside from that, let's just continue. We have to it that a lot of people are saying that many of the siblings of Katakuri are trying to think that Katakuri is not going to run or is to not lose against Straw Hat Luffy. But we have to it that some of them are trying to wonder we have to it that the only way to escape the Mirror World is Brule right there. So she's one of the key role players or something here and there. And we have to it that Oven says no matter what, he will run away from the... That's right. And Oven believes that Luffy will run away from the duel with Katakuri. And at 1 a.m. on the dot, once he appears, we'll kill him, etc. Sanji, on the other hand, is waiting for the moment to save Luffy while he talks to Pudding, etc., you know? And we have to it that Sanji, despite Pudding, deceiving him and wanting to kill him, we have to it that, Sanji says, you know, it's almost time for us to say goodbye. Thank you for everything, you know? And we have to, Pudding's thinking in her mind, I'm the one who deceived you and tried to kill you, so please don't thank me, Sanji-san. I'm the one who should be thankful. I need to apologize properly. But Pudding's, personality disorder kicks in, etc. And we have to it that, that Sanji says, I'm really glad that my fiancé was you, Pudding-chan. You know that, right? And Pudding ends up crying maybe because of Sanji's words and his very good heart. And we have to it that Sanji's like, oh, I wasn't trying to make fun of you. And we have to it that Pudding tells Sanji, I have one last request, you know? Just one last request. And I don't know what that is exactly, but it looks like to me she took off that cigarette off his lips or something. And we go back to the Mirror World, and we see to it that Katakuri and Luffy did clash. But we have to it that Katakuri's attack actually missed Luffy, while Luffy's Snake Man King Cobra attack managed to land a devastating hit to Katakuri's abdomen. And we have to it that Luffy runs out of steam with Gear 4, and he ends up having to fall down through a hole that freaking made a crack, etc. And we had to it that Katakuri fell unconscious while Luffy's out of steam. And we had to it that Charlotte Montiel, or whatever that guy's name is, I forgot which I don't care much about, is that he's talking to that bird guy whatsoever who wants to make some big news about saying that the Straw Hats are going to make their biggest escape, you know? But he goes don't even think about it. It may look embarrassing, but I'll squash that 1 million chance that they ain't going to escape this place. You hear me? Even if the one to appear from the Mirror World, blah, 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 was Pirate King Roger, he won't be able to get away. But we had to it that, Montiel says that we're going to capture all of them, line them up, execute them all, get the heads for display. And it will be as a warning for everyone in the future. And we had to it that we go to a scene with Capone Bench, who's apparently still running away from Big Mom with the cake on board, and they're trying to go we're at our limit right now. We'll be done before we reach the island. But Capone says, don't fault and all. We may have all come from different places, but at least in the face of death, we should stay together. And they all agree, which is Capone Bench's pirates, etc. And we have to it that Nami says, I wonder, we should be able to make it out of there by 1 a.m. But I'm worried about the key of the Mirror World Brule or something. If he wins a duel and Brule isn't there, he won't be able to get out of the Mirror World. But Jinbei says, I don't think Luffy's that type of man that can take that into account. That's right, it's impossible. It's definitely impossible. What should we do? Everyone's like is freaking out because they don't know what Luffy's doing right now. And we go back to the mirror world, which is 12:47 a.m. with Luffy getting out of the hole, and he's starting to remember like the words said to him like by his crew, saying, "Listen, Luffy, the meeting time is 1 a.m. tonight. After you knock him down, search for the mirror that leads to Choco Island. We'll meet up there." And Luffy's asking what time is it right now? And what scared me the most is when Katakuri stands above Luffy. Very tall, dude. And I was like, oh my gosh. Even after getting hit by Luffy's King Cobra strike or something in Gear 4 Snake Man, he's still standing. But Katakuri asked, "Someday you will come back here to defeat Big Mom, aren't you?" And Luffy says, "Of course, I am the man who will be the Pirate King." And therefore, Katakuri gives his last words to Luffy by saying, "You're really looking pretty far into the future as usual." And then he fell down unconscious, defeated, After getting hit many times and giving him the handicap, giving Luffy the same handicap, etc. When the fight got interrupted, Katakuri fainted. And before Luffy actually was about to leave, he puts a hat over Katakuri's mouth or something. That scene really, really touched my heart right there, because we all know how sensitive Katakuri is with his mouth, and Luffy decided to cover up as a respect to an enemy and to an opponent who actually gave him a big fighting brawl, And I'll get to that in just a moment, like after I finish my recap. And we had to it that Peckums arrives on time, and Brulee cries in freaking agony to see how Luffy defeats Big Brother Katakuri. And we see to it that Peckums arrives on the scene, and Luffy realizes that it's Peckums, while Peckums is trying to say his name is Nazomes. But he goes like, "Yeah, since Big Pedro sacrificed himself for you guys, I can't let you die here." So it looks like Peckums, even though he is enemies with Luffy, he doesn't want Luffy to die because he cares about Big Pedro a lot, and since Big Pedro gave his life for them, he's not going to let that go to waste. And therefore, we have that's 5 minutes before 1 a.m., and Sanji is still there for the time being in the mirror world, and we have that Sanji says, "I'll definitely bring Luffy back over to the ship the moment he gets out of there." Only 5 minutes left, and everyone's getting their weapons ready, and Oven therefore tells Straw Hat Luffy to come out, etc. So this chapter right here is time passing by with Sanji waiting for Luffy so he can rescue him, while Oven and the other siblings are getting ready to attack him. While Pudding, on the other hand, says she has one last request, which we don't know about. But she did take off the cigarette off his mouth or something, and we don't know what it is, but since she took out the cigarette off his mouth, she probably must have kissed him. But I don't know what that could be really mean, etc. But aside from that, when it came to the ending of Luffy versus Katakuri right there, it was pretty slick, and I really enjoyed it. Not to mention component bench on the run from Big Mom, and the Straw Hats, Nami, Jinbei, Chopper, and Brook, along with Kara, are freaking out what Luffy's gonna do if he does not find a way how to make it out of the mirror world. And of course Katakuri, which he freaked me out so bad because I thought he was still standing and still willing to finish Luffy off with some endurance left. But having to see that Katakuri got his answer where Luffy will come back to defeat Big Mom, Katakuri falls over dead or flat on his back, And we have to it that Luffy covers his mouth with his extra hat, which is something that I really enjoyed a lot, because it has a lot of symbolism behind that, because we all know Katakuri is sensitive about his mouth, and Luffy covering up with his extra hat, etc., is like a sign of respect to the man who pushed him beyond his limits and helped him improve him in his hockey ability, etc. In other words, Luffy respected the man so much that he decided to cover the man's mouth. Despite the fact that he's an enemy, Luffy actually respected the guy very much, and possibly might have liked him as an opponent, I mean, Katakuri showed a lot of honorable mentions about having to want to defeat Luffy honorably, and even stabbed himself in the same spot where he stabbed Luffy when he got hit by freaking like Flambe or whatever that bubblegum girl's freaking silent dart whatsoever, but whatever the case may be, you know what I'm talking about. But like I said, that scene with Luffy having to put a hat over Katakuri's mouth, that is really sweet right there. Despite being enemies, Luffy respected him. That's it. That was that's actually one of my favorite scenes right there, for Luffy having to like do that for an opponent, you know? It's just like that one time when he like fought Boa Hancock's sisters or something. Luffy covered one of Boa Hancock's sisters back because it has nothing to do with our fight, you know? And I know, and you said you would rather die before you let anyone show it. And it's like, you know, that same thing how Luffy realizes that Katakuri doesn't like his mouth doesn't want to show his mouth because it's you know, horrifying, etc. Just as Boa Hancock would rather die than let anyone see the symbol on her back, you know? That's about it. Anyways, like I said, Luffy versus Katakuri is literally one of my favorite fights in the New World arc, and also possibly one of my favorite fights of all time in One Piece. I mean, like, aside from Luffy versus Lucci, which is one of my also all-time favorite fights in One Piece, I think this one right here, Luffy versus Katakuri, is literally one of my also one of my favorite fights as well in the New World arc, but also all time. So, where do I place Luffy versus Katakuri? I say it rivals that of Luffy versus Lucci for first place, you know? I mean, it's so difficult because, I mean, oh man. I don't know, but one thing for sure, like, it would, like I said, Luffy versus Katakuri is one of my all-time favorite fights in One Piece. That's all I can really say. Oh, okay, so until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. So, alright, I'm out for Zoro, people. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out, bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!